Select Board meeting to order. Anybody who is trying to view from home or over their phone, all the instructions that you need and the information that you need is on the website. With us tonight are Select Board members Kevin Galligan, Larry Wright, Michael Herman, myself, Meph Runyon. I would expect our fifth member, Mark Matheson, to appear at some point soon. We also have Town Manager Kim Newman, Assistant Town Manager Mark Reel, and Executive Assistants Laura St. John Dupuy and Molly Bates. So we will begin with the preamble.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We acknowledge with respect that we are inhabiting the traditional lands of the Wampanoag peoples who have always existed here. We value their roles as past, present, and future guardians of this land.
Thank you. Announcements. I have one. This is just for the upcoming election in November. There are open county positions from Orleans for the Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates and the Barnstable County Charter Commissioner. So election papers for the Assembly of Delegates must be pulled at the town clerk's office and returned by July 21st. And papers for the Charter Commissioner must be pulled and returned by July 28th. Papers must have at least 20 signatures of registered Orleans voters. If you're interested in either seat, please reach out or stop by the town clerk's office here in Town Hall for more information. Public comment. Anybody in this room for public comment? Please come on up.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I know I get, what, 3 minutes?
Well, 3 minutes. Identify yourself first.
Ron Conti, Vietnam vet, firefighter from a big city, moved here in '93. My concern is affordable housing. I support affordable housing. I think we went a little too quick. I've been watching over behind the Penrose building. They're having lots of trouble over there, and I'm concerned about the vetting process because I see cars there all day. And I went to see the police chief, and he said, oh, well, maybe they're walking to work. I don't think they're walking to work. I think a lot of those people are not working. I'm concerned about that, okay? Again, another concern that I have is, and I don't know if it's a rumor, about a regional elementary school. 2 years ago, I was booed at town meeting when I said, Orleans, Eastham, and Wellfleet have 8 to 10 kids in class. We need to close the schools and move everybody over to Eddy. Now I hear that we may get a regional school. Is that going to be another $80 million? I'm concerned about that, okay? And yeah, I'm 80 years old and I have a bad memory.
Take your time.
I should have wrote it all down, but jobs. I talked to Michael Herman, and he said, we need the affordable housing for jobs. We don't have a lot of jobs in Orleans. The town probably hires more people than anybody. And so we have supermarkets, we have landscaping, we have trades. What do we have beyond that? And I feel concerned because the city I came from was a wide open city, and we brought people from all over the East Coast. We were considered in the 60s and 70s a really welfare state, and people came, and we built 3 beautiful facilities, and they were beautiful. After 6, 7 years, most people were living there on the state and the federal. The properties turned into 3 ghettos, and by the time I got off the fire department, we had bullet holes in our apparatus. Now, that doesn't compare to Orleans, but sometimes we move too quickly without thinking, and I'm really concerned about Orleans. I love Orleans. My wife wants to sell the house, so I'm not going. At 80, where am I going? Certainly not going to Florida. I'm staying here. But I made my points.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing I wanted to ask. Taxes on the properties, do we give them a long freebie on taxes like Penrose?
I would like to sort of answer questions, but we really can't do that.
Yeah, I'm concerned because if everything where I came from was on the town and state and federal government, and the burden fell on the taxpayers, and within 8 years, our taxes tripled. When I left there, my house, I had a beautiful house right on the city limits. We had robberies and everything, so I got the hell out of there and I moved here. But my taxes on my house there are $15,000 now. And so my taxes here in Orleans are fair now, but I don't wanna, I'm living on a pension and small social security, and God bless the lady.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Thaddeus Herrick. I'm a member of the Orleans Historical Commission. I know some of you. I live across the street at 136 Main. It was once the parsonage for the Universalist Meeting House. My family has been in Orleans for nearly 100 years. My parents were both active in conservation and clean water efforts, as are my wife and brother today. I commend the town, and I thank you all for our progress in protecting and preserving the natural environment. I am here to speak about the built environment, however, which I would say is in a state of crisis. Specifically, I'm talking about historic preservation, which the town maintains as critical to its character and identity and its cultural and economic future. Unfortunately, as I am learning, these are just words. Unlike more than half the towns in Massachusetts, Orleans has no meaningful historic preservation measures. Worse, owners can and do neglect their homes and buildings such that they can argue in favor of demolition. This is precisely what has happened and is happening on the East Ham side of Orleans Center along South Orleans Road. Last week, we saw the demolition of 20 South Orleans Road, an architecturally stunning home built in 1872 and home to the beloved Arbor and Binnacle restaurants. The same fate is likely for 16 South Orleans Road, which sits right next door, an 1861 Greek Revival building known as the Captain Joseph and Susan Higgins House, which once housed Cuffee's. How can this be? When property owners seek to tear down buildings, the most our commission can do is to delay demolition for 12 months. We did so with both the South Orleans Road properties. For owners intent on demolishing their property, such a measure is laughable. And worse, they make mockery of it by intentionally neglecting their property, which was the case with both these buildings. It's ironic to me, then, that in the town's comprehensive plan, Orleans cites town character as among the town's chief assets, arguing that the town, quote, should honor its history and preserve important historic structures and landscapes. To be sure, this is an opportunity for the Historical Commission, and we can propose some solutions. Yet political will, public, private, nonprofit, is scarce. You all know better than me about the fate of the proposed Main Street Historic District. In terms of what's happening on South Orleans Road, I would ask whether there was any effort on the part of town government to negotiate some sort of alternative to the demolition of the former Arbor and Binnacle. Certainly, the owner, Del Mar Vacations, didn't feel the need to explain its actions to the town. The best they could do was offer a no comment to Ryan Bray of the Cape Cod Chronicle. Meanwhile, the owner of the former Cuffee's wants us to make the false choice for attainable housing over historic properties. We can and should have both. In summary, historic landmarks provide a sense of community with ties to the past that incorporate our collective values. The people who built them did so not just for themselves, but for generations to follow. We are beneficiaries and custodians. But if that's too bleeding heart, think of it this way. Historic preservation is good for the economy. It boosts jobs, property values, tourism, and downtown revitalization. And it's better for the environment, saving thousands of tons of material from landfills. Orleans needs stronger measures to protect historic homes and buildings, and for our town leaders to support them unequivocally. Otherwise, this group should consider changes to the language in the comprehensive plan so that Orleans is not saying one thing and doing another. That is hypocrisy, and nobody wants that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in this room for a public comment? Carolyn?
Hi, my name's Carolyn Audie, and I am the chair of the Marine and Freshwater Quality Committee. I'm here to speak to you briefly about the recent cyanobacteria advisories in a couple of the town's lakes and ponds. I heard some comments from the Select Board at the end of the July 1st meeting, and I wanted to provide some clarifying information. I've worked with the town staff, I've worked with the water quality consultant and the health department to better understand and communicate the recent occurrences. I offer some basic points. There were cyanobacteria advisories identified in Uncle Harvey's Pond, Baker's Pond, and Crystal Lake a few weeks ago. Public advisories were issued, the ponds were retested, and the advisories were lifted. The blooms were short-lived. You may remember this also happened in previous years. Just noting that Boland Pond advisory was issued last Friday, that one's still in effect. These were short-duration, shallow water blooms. Alum treatments address deep sediments and prevent phosphorus from rising into shallows when dissolved oxygen is depleted. Our freshwater ponds have not yet become anoxic. That's when the oxygen is depleted at the bottom yet. So the blooms were not caused by the parts of the pond treated with alum. As far as we can tell, the alum treatments of deep water sediments are still doing their job. The monitoring we have done since the alum treatments were conducted in 2021 at Uncle Harvey's and at 2024 in Pilgrim and Crystal have shown water quality improvements. We have documented increased clarity in dissolved oxygen, and monitoring has shown a positive impact on the so-called phosphorus budget for each pond. I also note that Crystal and Pilgrim alum treatments were done as interim actions to buy time while the town built sewers. Wastewater from their watersheds is the primary source of phosphorus in these ponds. Phase 3 sewer construction is scheduled for this fall and targets Pilgrim and Crystal Lakes. On a similar note, Uncle's Harvey Pond alum treatment was planned to address all the sediment sources, but the application area was restricted to accommodate public concerns. Sewers were installed in Uncle Harvey's watershed as part of Phase 2 of the town's sewering program, which is underway right now. Warmer water creates conditions that favor shallow blooms. If the hot temperatures we have experienced this summer continue, we're all going to have to pull together and work with our partners to ensure that the public receives fully confirmed insights about pond conditions. Finally, we've seen the changes to the public statements made by the health department when we had the bloom at Boland last week. I'm encouraged by these changes, and I think they will help the public understand better the differences specifically between advisory and a pond closure. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Is there anyone else in this room?
Can I stand up there?
You choose.
I'll stand. I think better stand. My name is Dan Holbrook. I am from Orleans. I get to live here in the summer because I'm a lucky person. I have comments on any number of things. Anyway, on the history of Orleans, I just gave a talk last week at Snow Library on the history of Orleans. You can see it if you go to Sonic Trout on YouTube. My good friend Chris Blood recorded it, and it's uploaded there. I learned something, so you might too. Briefly, real estate taxes on our house have gone up 43% in the last 7 years. And I know the tax rate remains low, but tax rate is largely meaningless to people who don't view their houses as a financial investment, but rather as something to pass on to their kids. Given that, and the fact that that we rent the house out 9 months out of the year at well below market rates to a guy who takes care of seniors, I would hate to see additional tax burden shifted over to non-resident taxpayers. I think that's profoundly unfair. Profoundly unfair. On the proposed fire station, I understand we need a fire station. I'm not objecting to the needing a fire station, but recently I came across the ability to comment on the proposal. And if I can say some things here. First of all, limiting the comments to 500 characters. Maybe that wasn't done on purpose, but that's 3 sentences. Really insufficient. The proposed building is supposedly, I'll quote now from the narrative portion of the designer's presentation, reflective of Orleans's unique coastal character. The design balances the functional needs of a modern fire station with architectural elements inspired by the Cape's traditional building form. I think anyone who is even passingly familiar with the Cape's traditional building forms would recognize that almost nothing of the proposed building fits that description. Looks like a barn, but specifically, the gable overhangs look like they're about 4 feet plus. You won't find that anywhere on Cape Cod. None of the large historical buildings in Orleans, this building, Oddfellows Hall, the Old Town Hall, none of them have those massive overhangs. It looks like a Swiss chalet. It's really sort of absurd. Same thing with vertical siding. The only place you'll find vertical siding on traditional Cape Cod architecture is on sheds, and really sheds of the late 20th century. There are sort of discordant blocks of horizontal siding in the middle of the vertical siding, which is not a design feature you would find in traditional Cape Cod architecture. There are 4 different sidings on the building, not a feature you would find on traditional Cape buildings. As the owner of an old wooden house, I admire the optimism inherent in saying that wooden siding will last decades with minimal upkeep. That's, I think, really ludicrous is the idea. The brick part doesn't share much with Cape's traditional building forms, which largely do not include brick. As I pointed out in my talk, really one of the first brick buildings in town was the Bessie Block downtown, which was designed specifically to move downtown Orleans away from looking quaint and towards looking modern. The only other big brick building in town that I'm aware of is the middle school, built in 1938. So how brick fits into traditional Cape building forms, I simply don't know. Brick in Orleans is used for shopping centers and the school. The pergola-like shade structures along the sides of the wood-sided structure, which sort of look like porch roofs, except for they're not porch roofs. They are flat, and I don't think pergolas per se have any significant role in Cape architecture, and nor do flat porch roofs. So it's a bizarre architectural element. If you need some shade there, why not put a porch roof up? Basically, what the design amounts to is 2 barns next to each other, one wooden-sided and one brick-sided barns. Why not just be honest about it and get a couple of high-quality steel industrial buildings? Put them next to each other, decorate them a little bit, and save some money. That would be honest architecture. Architecture that says there's good and hard work going on in these buildings. If people find that offensive, somehow you can plant some trees to hide it a little bit. That sort of honesty and purpose and economy would more truly, here I'll quote from the narrative again, reflect the character, history, and identity of the Orleans community. That's what the proposal says. Cape Codders traditionally hate spending money, and especially hated spending too much money even on what was needed. Then, changing topics completely, well, not completely, I have here a list. You may or may not know that there's a national organization of firehouse builders. Did you know that? And there's a list here of recently constructed ones with their square footage, town, and finished cost. And if I'm remembering, the proposed one in Orleans is 33,000 square feet at $60-some million. You won't find, there are equivalent-sized ones here in much larger towns at half that cost. Finally, one brief question: why is the Jonathan Young Windmill never open?
Thank you. Please.
Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Chris Emerson, 20 Hayward Lane. I hadn't planned on speaking, actually, but I came because of the summer informational meeting. And now I see how the agenda works, and I thought, well, I might not get an opportunity to ask questions or comment. So I'll just give you one wide-ranging comment. I've been sort of following the idea of a summer meeting for quite a while. We spent a lot of time here, probably over 6 months, but we may not be considered actually, full-time residents. So I've followed what goes on in other towns because I'm interested in the cohesive nature of any community, and I think it's important that all sorts of people in our town have the opportunity to be informed. And many of the communities out here on the Cape, all but Orleans and Harwich, to my knowledge, have non-resident committees, so that people who are here, during the busy season have an opportunity to learn and to be engaged. Because while they may not be able to speak or vote at town meeting, I think in Orleans, I think 60% of the people who own homes here don't get a chance to speak at town meeting. I was told I couldn't when I tried to because I'm not a full-time resident. So I'm just going to encourage you to maybe give the opportunity for people to get involved more than, I think it was just a little more than a week ago, I got a push notification about this meeting. And I think a little more publicity and just a little more time for people to get the opportunity would be a well-meaning endeavor to, again, make sure that we're trying to pull this community together and make our summer residents or our non-full-time residents, or however you want to couch those who are not speaking at town meeting, to get them more engaged. I think the forum, Mary's involved with the forum, I think the forum will endeavor to do that also, which I think is great. But I think the opportunity to be involved with the select board is particularly important because of decisions that are coming so frequently to you all. And, listen, you guys do a great job and you're busy all the time, but I think it would be good to involve the summer residents as much as you possibly can.
Thank you. And just for general information, when we get into the summer information section of the agenda, anybody who wants to ask a question or
Okay,
participate is
terrific. That
welcome to
wasn't
do so.
clear from the way this was laid out, so thank you for that. Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I make a comment as a public comment?
Okay. Just,
Yeah, no, to your point of the Orleans Citizens Forum, we are having a meeting on July 30th, where MEF actually will be talking about the select board priorities for the coming year, as well as talking about the water restrictions and the drought policy. So for any of you who are interested in that, it's the Orleans Citizens Forum, July 30th, Lower Cape TV at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
thank you, Mary. Are we all set in this room for public comment? And anybody in the waiting room electronically?
No hands raised.
Okay. So let's move on and get into the annual summer informational session. Who's driving this bus?
Slideshow.
Okay.
I don't know who's in what order.
Are you first up, Nate?
I believe so. that's good.
Michael, can you hit the spots? Turn them off. Yeah, the last one on the
Yeah,
right.
the last one.
Last one on the right. Last one on the right. Thank you.
Evening, folks. I appreciate you putting me first on the agenda here, as I have another engagement I need to get to, so appreciate that. I'm gonna, even though we have the slide in front of you, I will walk you through and read. Nate Sears, my name's Nate Sears, Deputy Director of Natural Resources. The Natural Resources Department is responsible for the oversight of virtually all activities around the town's shoreline and waterways. Our work includes such activities as management of Rock Harbor Marina, issuance of commercial shellfish licenses, natural resource management and planning, private aquaculture management, maintenance of town landings, shellfish propagation, management of navigation aids, issuance of mooring permits, management of water safety programs, including the lifeguards at the beaches, collection of parking and OSB fees, enforcement of beach regulations, and shorebird monitoring program. Some of the things that are new or coming up this year, we just recently finished, or we have substantial completion at the Rock Harbor Wharf Improvement Project. I think the town should be really proud that once again we have a thriving, working waterfront that is safe and resilient for future conditions. I'm really proud of that project. If you haven't been down to Rock Harbor, please come down and visit. There's a section that's set aside for the public to watch the fishing boats come and go as they unload their catch. Nauset Beach North, the resident section of the Oversand Vehicle Program, opened up on June 12th. It has about a third of a mile of beach. We can fit approximately 150 vehicles at the moment. There's been a couple days where we needed to stage vehicles off-site as it filled up, but as the shorebirds begin to fledge, we'll be able to increase the length of that beach and hopefully accommodate more vehicles daily. Nauset Estuary reopened to shell fishing on June 12th. It had been closed prior to that for a harmful algal bloom of red tide. If you haven't already gotten your recreational shellfish permit, I encourage you to do so. We have a thriving quahog fishery in Town Cove. Just last week, the Shellfish Department put out an additional 600,000 quahogs, so there's plenty of quahogs out there at the moment. What's coming up? If you haven't been down to a concert at Nauset Beach on a Monday night, it's a fabulous time. We got these great bands, 6:30 to 8:30. They're free, and they just started the first one on July 6th, and those will run through August 31st. And the most exciting news I probably have, and it really hasn't been released to the public yet because it's forecasted information, and every day we have a little more definitive idea of when it's going to happen, but based on hatch dates and present conditions with the shorebirds out on the beach, we're thinking around July 20th that we'll be able to get the Nauset Beach South open to oversand vehicles. That will be with the HCP, which is the Habitat Conservation Permit, which allows flexibilities in the guidelines with the Fish and Wildlife Service. The HCP requires that every vehicle have a person over the age of 16 to walk in front of their vehicle to pass unfledged broods of piping plovers. The HCP period will probably last about 10 days, so if you're going to be coming from July 20th to about August 1st, be prepared to have to walk by broods and have certain windows of access and egress to get onto the beach. But we're comfortable with the thought that by first week of August, we should be able to lift the HCP and just have general conditions for access. Of course, we will have to plan with the town of Chatham in terms of when they will be opening up their section. There is limited profile on certain sections of the beach for parking vehicles at the moment. Trail 4 is going to be probably the most convenient location for vehicles to park, and we think we can fit about 150 vehicles right off the bat out there. This time of year, if you're going to be going to town landings, I should also mention that there are a handful of landings that have parking restrictions in place. Those restrictions are in place from June 15th to September 15th. If you want to get familiar with which landings require parking permits, the parking permit that's required is the resident beach parking permit that you can purchase at the sticker office over at the DPW building from 9 to 1. If you look up parking regulations on the town website, there'll be a map and regulations that go with each landing. And I'm happy to take questions from anybody that is interested in anything natural resource related.
I have one.
Please.
Just, could you talk a little bit about the herring run and what went on there this year and what the
Yeah.
future holds for it?
Yeah. We're at 30% design right now, which is kind of the threshold that where you begin permitting, right? And that steers the path for, the.
You might start a little bit further at the beginning about.
Oh, yeah,
the
sure.
project.
Sorry, man. It's got to have been 3 years ago that we were awarded $1 million grant from the Natural Resource Conservation, a federal grant to revitalize our herring run and kind of look at what needs to be done, look at what we need to do to have rationing of the water from Pilgrim Lake and the Lonnie's Pond. What's happening is we're starting to see lower levels of water in Pilgrim Lake, but also the silting in of the run. That run was engineered in 1920s. It's done us well to date, and surprising enough, as we investigate what our needs are to repair the run, it's going to be very similar engineering that they used in the 1920s. So they kind of nailed it back then. We want to make sure that we're not, we want to be as natural as possible. It's a complicated project because of the access over private property in order to get into the run, as the town property is pretty much the limits of the run itself. So there's definitely limitations with means and methods for what we can do in there to accomplish our goal. We've been meeting with the engineers frequently, monthly, and looking at alternatives. We're pretty much at the point where we're going to be reviewing it with the Division of Marine Fisheries next week. Once we get their rubber stamp on, our preferred alternative, we'll be bringing it forward to CONSCOM and start that permit process with the hope that we could have construction as early as winter '27.
How was the count this year?
Terrible. Yeah, and there's no rhyme or reason. Talking with Brad Chase, the diadromous fish expert at DMF, even though last year was, we had such low water in Pilgrim Lake that we struggled, and we also lost Scott Johnson, our longtime herring warden. We struggled with water level. We just did not have the water to get the fish in last year. This year, we had the water. We were in a great situation. We were comfortable with the fact that it was easy for the fish to pass. We only had small pockets of fish, 100 here, 100 there. But even if we had a terrible year last year with water levels, we wouldn't see the repercussions of that for like another 5 to 7 years, right? As these fish become adults and return, based on what Brad was telling me. So we don't have any rhyme or reason why we didn't have a great run, and whether these fish just happened to go and up another tributary or another terminal pond and found their way into Brewster or wherever they ended up. Hard to say. But tremendous year for glass eels.
Really?
Yeah.
Anybody, Michael?
Just a comment, I might have scared the eel, the herring off this year. I do the herring count, and I wasn't unfortunately able to see any this year. But again, that's a small period of time. I do it on a Wednesday, so there's the rest of the week, but it was very, very sparse this year, unfortunately.
Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any questions from the crowd because they probably all love Nate like we do. But I just want to say for the crowd and anyone listening, but that bullet under what's new, Rock Harbor Wharf Improvement, Nate put a lot of effort into that. Working with Verizon, working with Eversource, getting poles set, engineering work, adjusting with contractor activities, and so.
Bad weather.
Bad weather. We had a certain blizzard for those that might not have been here with 4.5 days of power outage. But again, enjoy it, as Nate said.
And it's not Nate. We have an incredible team
We
here.
do. We do.
If I can add to that, been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time so far this summer on making sure I get out to the beach. So thank you for opening up the North Beach. That is not just for residents, it's also open to any property owners in town. And the way your kids, and they're not kids, but the young people that you hire, the seasonal people, as we know, it's a big challenge getting seasonal employees. They're extremely professional. The way they run it, and I've had to even go back to the parking lot and wait and then come back, and the way they orchestrate it even at your toll booths there. The kids you train and hire, or the young people you train and hire, and I see Rich here too, it's a great staff. So, thank you.
Appreciate it. By the time we get them all hired, the season's
Yeah.
usually over, so.
Anybody in the audience want to ask or comment? You need,
There we go.
Nice.
Thanks, Dan.
I guess Nate, you're,
Off to
Thank you.
next assignment.
I'm gonna head off to talk about working waterfronts with
All
some of
right.
the other harbor masters, so have a good night.
thank you. Who has this one?
Rick.
Oh, okay. Hi,
Can
Tom.
everyone hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for letting me do this remotely. I wish I could be there, but luckily I printed this out because I don't get to see the mirror the same way.
Tom, just for the audience, this is Tom DeServo, who is our, I'm going to have the title wrong.
Let me say it because Tom always gets mad. He's the Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community
Right.
Affairs.
So,
Vince.
We'll get it right one of these days.
I know.
But so what we do is the Orleans Recreation, Culture, and Community Events Department fosters a healthy, vibrant community by offering diverse and affordable programs and events that promote physical activity, community engagement, and lifelong well-being for residents of all ages. And one thing I wanted to highlight is from 2024 to 2025, we increased program participation from 2,230 to 2,953. And we had 45 programs in 2024. And this year, or this past year in 2025, we have 80 programs. And we're on pace to get roughly 3,500 registrations for 2026 already. And we're hopeful that we'll have somewhere between 90 and 95 programs for all of 2026. And what's new or has changed is we've expanded our involvement in community events by enhancing programming, supporting initiatives led by other departments and organizations, while also advancing the $3.6 million Eldridge Park renovation project that's anticipated to break ground in September. And just to highlight some of the supporting initiatives is we've worked with the Fire Rescue Association on the Pancake Breakfast most recently. We've helped out with the July 4th parade. We've partnered with a local Pilates instructor as well as Mazio Construction to offer Pilates and sauna every Tuesday morning at Nauset Beach. And then we also have our Object Trouvé art show. And new this year, we're working with the health department on a community resource fair, and that should be in September. And then another thing I'd like to highlight is I mentioned the Eldridge Park renovation project. Just this afternoon, thanks to Mike Solitro and Mark Reel for really getting involved the last few weeks to make sure the procurement process has gone smoothly. And just this afternoon, the bids have opened up on the town website, and we are now accepting them. So this is a really exciting time in Orleans.
and I'll just lead this off by just, for people who haven't been following the history of recreation in Orleans, Tom has brought in the age of enlightenment to recreation for Orleans. So it's been a really remarkable development. Somebody,
No.
okay.
I was just trying to shut off my phone.
Would you like, if you'd like to ask,
Yeah, you have,
Oh, you actually
if
do.
people can't hear you if you don't.
So I know Tom a little bit. Tom, you might know my name. I'm Chris Emerson, and I'm a pickleballer, and I've worked, in support of the efforts at Eldridge broadly. but of course selfishly pickleball. So glad to hear the bids are open. Did see that break ground in September. Is that realistic at this stage?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
is. So we're very hopeful that the week after Labor Day weekend, we're going to be able to break.
Okay, and you think that we'll be up and running in time for spring for the courts?
Realistically, May.
Realistically, what, sorry?
May, in May.
May,
May.
okay, okay, good. That sounds like good news. Thank you.
Are you the person who can answer my question about why the Jonathan Young windmill is never open?
I am not. I'm sorry.
It might be you, no? Okay, we'll find out who can answer that question.
Good suggestion.
Anybody else for Tom?
Matter of fact, I can add and maybe give people a little time to think of other questions, but, you know, as Tom pointed out in his title, or Kim did, I mean, it's broad, not only just rec, but culture and community events. And a lot of behind-the-scenes things were happening, particularly on the website. If you go to the website and you look at our calendar now, it merges every type of event possible, not just select board meetings that are very important. However, you know, community events, you know, whether it be, you know, 4th of July parade, or, you know, as Tom mentioned, the events that he's added to. So there's been a lot of effort, and again, Mark Reel, a number of folks, Amanda is in the front of the audience, really did some rewiring, as they call it, in web terminology to pull all these things together. So we're trying to do those front-facing things to get the word out.
Yeah, and just Kevin, you reminded me of something that I wanted to bring up. I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you because the townwide yard sale, we had over 50 addresses registered for this at the last week of June, and it was a phenomenal event. Everyone really enjoyed it.
Mine wasn't.
But I remember at the meeting how happy and excited you were, and I did not see your address on the yard sale. So I'm hopeful next year you're going to be involved in it.
Well, actually, here's the other thing is, could we do another one in the fall? I do think there's enough interest. I mean, certainly after the summer, I'm seeing a few heads nodding, you know, might be a good
We
opportunity.
can look into it.
So, and I will be on that list if it's done in the fall.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Michael.
I would just chime in on the cultural part. Tom, you didn't mention, but Tom and his team were very helpful where we just dedicated an indigenous marker in our Veterans Park and had the Wampanoag singers and dancers at our farmers market. So to add to your cultural part, we appreciate it and thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the select board or the audience? And I should note, just for the record, that our select board, Mark Matheson, did find his way in here, and just for the official record.
It's tough when you're a working person and
Yes, it
you're
is.
having meetings at 2 in the afternoon in town. You know, that's, can't happen if you're working.
I guess, is that it for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
And if I could just add one last final thing is, I know Nate mentioned it, and I'm sure it's a prevailing theme with all the department heads in town, but I have a phenomenal team, whether that's seasonal people or my full-time people, and we can't do what we do if it wasn't for them. So I think everybody would agree that we have a phenomenal team here in Orleans. So
Absolutely.
thank you all, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Good night. And that brings us to
Hi, Judy Wilson, Director of the Orleans Council on Aging and Senior Center. So we provide support, enrichment, and advocacy for older adults in Orleans and their care partners. And the goal is really to help build connection and community and support healthy aging. We offer a lot of different programs and activities, which include our Rock Harbor Respite Supportive Daycare Program, which is a regional program, and we have intermunicipal agreements in place to make that truly regional. We have a transportation program. We offer lunch services. We have fitness classes 5 days a week, and we offer an assortment of recreation, education, and cultural programs. And perhaps one of the most important is our outreach services, where we work out in the community with some of our more vulnerable older adults. In 2025, we served 1,260 individual Orleans residents through our activities at the senior center. And then one of the big things that happened this last year is we received a grant. We worked with the Friends of Orleans Senior Center and received a $20,000 grant to implement a caregiver support initiative. We began offering free respite services on a monthly basis, and we expanded our caregiver support. Through a monthly program, we provide food cards and are contacting caregivers on a regular basis. This year, we also turned over $210,000 to the town's general fund, which are revenues we collected through our supportive daycare program. All of the other money that we collect stays because we don't get town funds to support the other programs. So we use fees and monies that we get to support our programming initiatives. This next year, we are looking to update our communications and expand transportation services. We're hoping to get going with social media. We would like to use social media to do some education around aging issues, not just promote our programs. And the COA board, one of their goals for the coming year, and I believe this is correlates with the comprehensive plan, is the process of conducting a community needs assessment for older adults and initiating a strategic planning process for the COA. And they would love input from the public on that process. Just a couple of highlights from the last year. Our Tuesday evenings, we have now been open for a full year of Tuesday evenings. The programs that we offer on Tuesday evenings, we did that to make sure that we are reaching the 60 really to 68-year-olds who work during the day, to Mark Matheson's point. So we offer fitness classes and other programs. We make sure that we offer Shine services to provide the Turning 65 Medicare consultations for people who are working. And we do that on Tuesday evenings. And so that's been a really positive change this last year. We're struggling a little bit with filling some of our part-time and lower-paying positions. And the other difficulty we have is that we have wait lists for most of our programs. I would say 80 to 85% of our programs are fully enrolled, and we have wait lists for all of those programs. I like to tell the board I think those are good problems to have, but nonetheless, they do create some hard feelings when people can't get into the programs that they want. We are looking at implementing an online registration program. The board has asked us to consider doing it by lottery. We currently now open enrollment at certain times and certain dates to try and make it a fair and equitable process so that everybody has an opportunity to get into something that they want to do at the senior center. And we also have really tried to prioritize digital equity because so many of the people that we serve don't use computers and online platforms. So we're trying to figure out a system that will really adhere to that, the integrity of maintaining digital equity for those we serve. That's it.
Anybody have anything to say or ask? The audience?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
If I would just say, having a mom who's enjoyed so many services, the one highlight of her week was always going to the knitters group. Monday afternoon, if anybody out there is a knitter, it's a great little group.
think it's your turn, Tavi.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. I have a little poster here with a little story behind it. So for the last few months, the Board of Trustees have wanted different staff members to present to the board what their jobs are. And the last month we had Jenny Fulcher, and she wanted to go along with the theme we've had tonight, highlight the staff. So this is a poster of all of a few of the staff members that you might not see because they're part-time. They're here on Saturdays and on evenings. So, our representative, the liaison to the board, Michael Herman, he said that would be a good idea to bring it here tonight. So I'll just.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I can, it's been a great experience and a learning experience by having each of the staff present what they do and the amount of, I think Tavi will talk about it tonight, just a past rainy day, how many people you had as visitors.
Yes, yes. Yes, it actually, I have to admit, in the beginning, when the trustees wanted all the staff to talk about what they did, I says, oh, they're good. They're not going to want to do it. They are so committed to public service, but they don't like all the time to comment on that. They just like to diligently work at it. So it was wonderful because they realized how enjoyable it was, and it was a great opportunity. So what do we do at Snow Library? So it was hard to put on a single slide. So we provide information in various formats I'll go through, educational programs, and entertainment. So some of the resources we have, I mean, print books, newspapers, books on CD, ebooks, DVD, streaming music, streaming video, audiobooks, playaway devices, research databases, a library of things, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that now has up to 33 items in it. And believe it or not, puzzles. Puzzles are very popular, especially on rainy days, and sometimes people just like to come into the library to do puzzles. So who we serve, that's an easy one. We serve everyone who comes in. Anyone who walks in the door, anyone who calls, anyone who emails, through any contact at all. And we have embraced wholeheartedly the motto of the New York Public Library that everyone is welcome. We serve everyone. Libraries are for everyone. So just some statistics. So last year we had a little over 97,000 visitors come to the library annually. And so how many individuals this year from July 1st last year to June 30th of this year? Again, about 97,000. We were hoping we could get up to 100,000, but at least we're consistent. So in the average, in the winter, we have no less than 200 people coming in per day. That's about like 1,500 to 1,700 people a week. And then in the summer, that number goes up. 300 to 400 come in per day, with occasional low 500s. And actually on July the 6th, Monday, July the 6th, probably because it was after the long holiday weekend, we had 5 short of 600 people come in. 595 people came in. And that was only on a day when we were open from 10 to 5. It wasn't even our late night. And a lot of it, of course, depends on what's going on at the library, what the weather is, and so forth. Holdings. So we have total print holdings, 57,000, roughly. Non-print, about 11,000. Total print materials, 104,500. Interlibrary loans, 30,000 we do annually. And the total number of programs we held at the library this year, including Professor Holbrook's program, 602. And the attendance for those programs, 15,000 annually. So what's new or changed this year? Physical materials, we added 32,000 roughly. And for non-print materials, electronic materials, which are shared by the network, we added about 733. This year, we also have a new, it's a new collection, really, you'd call it. It's a seed library. And we partnered with the Orleans Agricultural Council. About 80 people so far have taken advantage of that, each coming in and taking about 2 or 3 different types of seeds. It's all done on the honor system. People also bring in seeds as well. Library of Things, 45 items currently, and we're adding more. I'll mention some of the new ones we're doing. Just a note, so Assistant Director Kaimi Lum was contacted by the New York Times back in May. They were doing an article on libraries of things in public libraries, and they wanted to have a very diverse range of libraries. And in the searches they were doing, specifically the mushroom foraging kit, Snow Library came up, and so it was in the New York Times article, so we're very, very happy about that. Good publicity for that. What are some of the items we have, diverse items in the Library of Things? Again, so many, but just want to highlight some of them. We have baking sheets and baking pans. We have brush lettering kits. We have a Blu-ray player. We have a fly tying kit, a food dehydrator, Frisbees, mixers, a sewing kit, a soil testing meter. We have a therapy lamp, a tool kit. We have all sorts of sewing devices, double-pointed knitting needles, binoculars, bunt pans. Some of the more popular items, an ice cream maker, very popular in the summer, of course. We have probably our most popular item, a metal detector. The only problem is you can hardly ever get it because it's always checked out. It literally goes from one patron to the next. And then finally, surprisingly, a ukulele, very, very popular item. So what did we add this year? Well, the knitting needles were new this year, the kite, the ice cream maker, and the children's toy knitting loom. And puzzles, that's another thing that we really started doing this year. And we sort of did it as an experiment to see how that would work. And they've just been going out like you wouldn't believe. Adult programs this year, well, we have so many, just basically lifetime learning run by the Friends of Snow Library is so popular. The diversity of the programs, it's everything, history, science, literature, you name it. We were very pleased this year to host a 6-part creative development series that was a collaboration with the Provincetown Commons and the Community Development Partnership, which was held at Snow Library, and we were very happy to be a venue for that. A great, very popular program called Cut the Cord, which was about converting cable into streaming services. And then finally, I think our winter movie series on Wednesdays, where we showed everything from The Naked Gun to Downton Abbey. And in the spring, we had Friday matinees, classic series like Citizen Kane and Philadelphia Story, all very well attended. And then Device Advice, that was new this year, and that was really magnificent. Very well attended. The Cape Cod Tech students were very enjoyable to interact with. We had many people, many return visitors, very knowledgeable, and really the paragon for customer service. And we'd love to see that continue because we've had.
Paragon is a stretch, but I'll take it.
Yeah, no, it really, I'll tell you, they were interacting with everybody, and I think sometimes people were coming in just to talk to them.
Exactly. It was good for them too, believe me.
Yeah, it was wonderful experience for everybody. And then let's see, youth services. So this year we had a program called Junk Journaling, and what that is basically it's repurposing recycled, repurposed materials like old book pages, grocery receipts, ticket stubs, fabric scraps, and you basically make a diary and you use that as a diary. And then music and movement, where participants sang and danced. It was for toddlers. And so that was the first time really we reached out to that group and with a program like that. So what's coming up? What's new? So the Orleans Community Refrigerator is coming up. That was initiated and it's going to be administrated by the Orleans Health and Human Services Department. We're very happy to host. We think it will be great when it starts. And also an electronic bulletin board that's going to be inside the library's vestibule that will have information for people. So it's just one more way to get the information out there. Let's see, new items we're planning this year for the Library of Things: a button-making machine, a Dremel kit, which is their rotary tools for cutting, grinding, sanding, gluing. They're very popular, and an induction stovetop. And the idea for that came actually from a meeting right here in this room. It was the Climate Action Roadmap staff workshop on June 4th. And so that idea was talked about, and so we've gone ahead and gotten that, and that's going to be added this year. Just quickly, some upcoming programs. On Wednesday, July 22nd, we have the wisdom of the popular hits of the 1960s and 70s. So they're all our favorite songs from that period, that there's hidden themes behind them that people might not be aware of. And then on July 24th, we have our local historian, of course, Ron Peterson, and he will be presenting Tracing Massachusetts' Leading Role in Our Nation's Struggle for Independence. That's one of a few programs that we're having to celebrate the anniversary of the nation this year. And then just one final one coming up on August 19th. Local author Susanna Graham Pye will present a lecture from her new book, For the Unremembered, A Journey of Reflection into Cape Cod's Connection to Slavery. And youth services, this is exciting too. So at the middle school, they have a Dungeons and Dragons program, and they were looking to continue that during the summer when school is not in session. And so we're going to provide them with that space at the library, and it's coming up, within a week or so. And then we're going to have an interesting program called Teaching Life Skills to Children. They probably refer to it as adulting skills, non-digital skills, lost art. So teaching children how to tell time using an analog clock, sewing a button, and reading script or cursive writing rather than just block printing. And I think that's about it. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
I've got one.
Okay.
Just curious what the mix is these days between digital book borrowing and old-fashioned book borrowing.
So digital increases every year. I buy more every year. Many of our patrons who used to come into the library, they're coming in for other things now, maybe some of the programs and stuff. They still do borrow some books, but we have had some people who just use Overdrive and download ebooks or audiobooks. We still have a robust print collection, and our circulation is very good. Most of the Cape libraries, it's like that as well. We're maintaining the print, but it's very clear that the non-print media is at least keeping pace, if not increasing a little bit.
Thank you.
Tabby, one quick
Yes,
one.
sure, Ken.
How many large print format books do you have? Because I know there's a number of sections with large print format that helps a lot of people with.
So we have quite a whole array of them. Most of them downstairs. As far as like a number goes, I probably want to say like a few hundred. And we have a new book section. We feature those. It's one of the few standing orders I have as well. So in addition to purchasing individual titles, I also have it on standing order so that we get. An interesting thing, though, about the large print, they're almost impossible to weed from the collection if you're looking at circulation. They all go out, all high circulation numbers. It's very hard to make room. We've pretty much maxed out all our room in both of the areas. So we basically, we have our large print books until they literally fall apart and we can't have them there anymore, and so we're replacing them. But
Anybody else? Michael?
Yeah, just curious, what's the number one genre that you're lending out?
Well, fiction has always been higher circulation than nonfiction. In nonfiction, I would say it's probably between history in general, in a broad sense, and biography. And so the library can run reports on what our circulation numbers are, and I tend to buy more in that area. I try to buy in all the areas, art, literature, music, and so sports, but I also favor certain areas where our circulation is higher. So I would say history and biography of the nonfiction, but fiction is still, that's our number one highest circulation, fiction and mystery.
And if I can just follow up that, what would you say your number one resource, now that you're evolving, which is, I think it's phenomenal, and you're diversifying into all these different, whether it's programming, whether it's the Library of Things, what is your biggest used resource, would you say?
I would say, I mean, we want to still, and I'm speaking for the staff because I talk to them all the time about this, definitely providing print and non-print materials and newspapers and magazines. We have dedicated users who come in for the magazines and newspapers. But I would say the area where we're increasing the most is programming. That's where we're doing. I mean, we have a part-time staff member who does programming. The friends do all the programming. And programming, more diverse programming, a different variety of programming, that seems to be where we're finding our greatest change. Oh, also, too, I should mention, the library has the Marion Crane Gallery Committee, and so every month there's a new art exhibit. People do enjoy that. They come in all the time for that. And our front display case, right now we have some wonderful jewelry being displayed in there from an artist, and she makes her own jewelry. So that's wonderful too, and that's a draw. But I would say probably programming which kinds to lead more towards the community center type of ideal, while still trying to maintain the traditional library.
Mr. Chair, if I could
Give Kevin a chance.
just to follow on the community sense, for those that might have been here during the blizzard of that miserable week, for those that could get out and were without interconnection at certain homes, they found just parking in the library got them their
Yes.
hotspot. So you provide more than you realize.
A lot of people park in the parking lot and use the wireless. Many times if you drive past the library when we're not open and you see all these cars there, it's because they're using the wireless, which is 24/7, and we're happy to provide that service.
Michael, did you have something else?
No, I was just saying it was impressive. The reason I asked, it was impressive. There are 15,000 users you said had come to the programming, so over 1,000 a month are on average. Fantastic.
And again,
is
it's
there
the-
a particular programming they're liking, or is it just
No, so
diverse?
many of them. I mean, again, history, current politics, that generates a lot. Some of the science programs generate a lot. Anything with Cape Cod, Professor Holbrook's program, and anything Orleans-related, Cape Cod-related, people do enjoy that. But it's a variety. I mean, the literature, the art as well.
Yeah, I popped into Mr. Holbrook's presentation. It was excellent. I heard great comments. I hope you're coming back.
Next summer.
Okay.
As long as the windmill's open.
I just wanted to ask too, and this is really more for your information to give out to people. At the beginning of the meeting, we had Thaddeus Herrick talking about the historical nature and character of the physical Orleans.
Right.
And you're the keeper of some amazing history collections that I'm not sure get accessed as much as they should be. But could you just talk about that? Because you can also get to it online, right?
Sure. The H.K. Cummings photograph collection, they are photographs of early Orleans. They have by subject, so there are houses, homes, there's landscape scenes, there's shipwrecks, and some are outside of Orleans as well. H.K. Cummings used to go around with a camera when cameras were new, and take pictures of everything. And at the time, I think people thought he was taking too many pictures. Why would anybody be interested? But now they're really a time capsule. You see Orleans when it had all dirt roads and some of the buildings. It's really wonderful. And people, too. I mean, so many people like the images of the people in the photos wearing, of course, the period clothes and stuff and seeing that. So that's great as well. Some of it is online. We're in the process of getting it all digitized. That's a process. It's an ongoing process, and we still haven't done it yet. But that would be wonderful if that happens, because then it would be viewable by everyone.
There's also the less-known historical photographer, Snow, right? And don't you have a collection of his as well?
H.K. Cummings, the only thing we have of Snow is we have some of the genealogy books of Snow.
Okay.
And also, I mean, anything we have in our vertical file, mostly in paper form. I mean, not very many photographs, but it's H.K. Cummings really. That's the big collection. Also, I should mention as well the Cape Codder newspaper, going all the way back to 1946. We have that digitized, but we also have the microfilm. The reason I still do that is because I'm just nervous, because we're the only place that has all of the Cape Codder newspaper. And we get a lot of people coming in sometimes who want to see the newspaper back in the 50s and so forth, or read the articles. And so that's all available.
I guess that's it. Thank you, Tabby.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Rich Waldo, Director of Public Works, Natural Resource. My topic is not as exciting as my colleagues, but certainly critical to the town of Orleans. I'll be covering wastewater, particularly from the perspective of the Public Works Department. It is a division within Public Works, one of 8 divisions that we have. In terms of what we do, the sewer department oversees the daily operation of treatment and the collection system. We also have a big part in supporting the phased expansion. So both the planning, the construction, the funding resources, kind of nail that down, the permitting. We're very instrumental in a lot of that work. We serve residential customers, businesses. I included industries in there, although that term's a little loose. There are some operations that we have in town that would be considered an industry. And we also serve municipal facilities. We provide them with reliable wastewater collection as well as treatment. When you look at what is new or changed this year, I will say it's very hard to abbreviate what has been done in the past year, but I will say the critical things is particularly the rollout of Phase 2 service area. So for the last 3 years, we've been in the Phase 2 construction phase, which has to do with the Meeting House Pond area. We've been working through that construction. We are finally able, to bring to a point where we're able to operate a pump station, which will allow us to serve that Meeting House Pond area. So back in March of 2026, we issued a notice to connect. Actually, the Board of Health issued a notice to connect to everyone in the Meeting House Pond area. So we are currently going through that process right now of connecting properties. They're given 1 year to connect. That is the guideline from the Board of Health. And you'll continue to see construction in that area, more so just on the private property end rather than in the public right of way, particularly on Main Street. We also moved forward with Phase 3 construction. We went out to bid. We had funding in place, again, secured by SRF financing. Construction bids were received at a very competitive rate. As I said in town meeting, I think when Phase 3 project is done, I feel that we'll be able to give back close to $10 million in borrowing authorization. Not borrowing authorization with funds that we won't need. We'll be able to give that back to the town because of the favorable bids that we have, and basically reworking the previous 2 phases of construction to tighten down our construction cost. That project is slated to be under construction later on in this September. We had our first pre-construction meeting in June. We worked with the contractor, basically itemizing what's important to us, what's not important. Their next steps is to give the town submittals of what they plan on using for piping, for valving, and everything related to the sewer construction, as well as the schedule. The schedule is going to be very important, and that will lead us into what's coming. So first off would be a betterment public meeting for Phase 2. Once we finish up a phase of construction, we get the final tally cost of the construction for that phase, and we determine a sewer betterment unit. That is what we're doing right now. Once we get a betterment unit, we determine what an allocated sewer unit is, and from there, we will be able to issue a betterment to all properties in the Phase 2 area. Very similar process that we did in Phase 1. We're going to do it for Phase 2. That public meeting is going to take place in the fall of 2026. We did an informational meeting with all Phase 2 properties earlier in the project. And we let them know what was forthcoming, so that they're expecting this to come forward, and that's going to happen in the fall. Speaking of that informational session, we're going to do just like we did in Phase 2. We're going to have an informational session meeting for all Phase 3 property owners. We're expecting that to take place sometime in September. The point of those information session is just to let everyone that's in the Phase 3 area know what to expect. It is open to the public, to all users. It's really, guided for Phase 3 property owners, but anyone else interested can attend, and urge you to attend, particularly as Phase 3 does involve construction on Route 28. Although Main Street was a big headache for us in the last phase, Route 28 is going to be a big headache for the town and travel for the next at least year or so. So what we do with those informational sessions, we talk about what to expect in construction, what kind of equipment out there. We talk about terminology, what to expect, what's a sewer stub, what's a low-pressure system, what's a gravity system. We just kind of give them a lot of information, and then we give them the resources where to find that information, who to call if you have a question, and basically just open the door for them to have resources to call for any questions that they have. There's going to be a lot of construction right outside their doorstep. We want them to understand what's going on, and also inform them of what to expect for information coming out. As I mentioned, 28, I'm just going to use this as a public opportunity to let people know that Phase 3 sewer construction pretty much entails work on Route 28 from Thompson Road intersection all the way up to basically the Aries Lane area. We will be working closely not only with the police department, but also with the contractor to make sure that detours are properly laid out, that the road restoration is done properly, people understand what roads will be closed at a particular time. We're going to be working with delivery companies, the schools, pretty much everyone that's going to ride that route, and just get them to understand what's coming. Hopefully we can get off at 28 within 1 year, and then it's all the side streets after that. But I'll know more once I get the schedule of construction from the contractor. And then lastly, at the annual town meeting in May, the town voters did approve the preliminary design for Phase 4. Phase 4 encompasses even further in South Orleans. This is really just a notice to the public. If you see people out there doing data collection, survey work, we will be doing some drone work as well. That is what that work is taking place. So basically, they're just doing pre-field construction work, or I should say pre-design work, collecting data for Phase 4. So that is pretty much in a nutshell. We go any which way on directions of questions, but I'm here to answer any you got.
It'd be best if you could talk into the microphone.
Mark Kahn, Poacher Road. Of the original published phases, what do you think you're going to be at for the next 5 to 7 years? I think there was original 11 or 13.
There's 16 phases in total that are, that have been proposed, part of the amended comprehensive wastewater management plan. We continue with the support of the Wastewater Management Advisory Committee, is looking at ways we can reduce. At the end, reduce the phases. And I say that because we are sewering to meet our requirements of the Pleasant Bay watershed. We have to reduce nitrogen so much. There are other ways that we can get credit for nitrogen reduction. We're looking at stormwater activities that we're doing. You know, we sweep the street all the time, we clean out the catch basins. We're trying to get reductions for that. We're looking at marsh attenuation as a potential reduction. So although the plan is 16 phases, that comprehensive plan is amendable, where we can reduce it to 14 if we find that we only need 14, or 12, or add more if we need to. So as of right now, it's 16 phases. What we have committed to date is at least through preliminary design of phase 4.
So you eventually get through the 14 or 16, is that the plan?
That's the plan right now, yes.
And Rich, how many people in this room will still be alive when you get to phase 16?
I know I won't be working here. I know that. I think, you know, during the fire station discussion, sewer in that area is phase 14, which was 2065. So 2 more phases after that. Be a long time.
Anybody else?
Well, you know, I got to chime in. If you can do anything to reduce fertilizer, which helps significantly as the second biggest contributor, you know, voluntarily reduce it, it would be a huge help down the road on different phases when we have to recalibrate and retest. So anybody who's willing to do it in the town, follow our bylaws, but also voluntarily do whatever they can. Nitrogen from the fertilizer and phosphorus are the 2 biggest components other than wastewater.
And if I could just tag on to that, one of the things that I think people notice is as the town adopts water restrictions and fertilizer bylaws and pesticide bylaws, the appearance of what used to be really green manicured areas of town change and are different. And I think that's something that people are just going to have to start adjusting to.
Cape Cod lawn. Exactly. Cape Cod lawn.
That's it for me.
Question, I think.
Yes.
I just can't help myself. There has got to be some way to reduce the amount of money it costs to connect to the sewer system. We connected 2 years ago. Our property is right on Town Cove. I feel very, very strongly that sewers are a positive for the town and certainly for Town Cove, which is nothing like it was when I was a kid. It's almost a dead body of water compared to when I was a kid. We happen to have we happen to have paid to have a house built where I spend my winters in West Virginia. If you've never visited West Virginia, please come see us. It's a beautiful state with friendly people. We have exactly the same mass rating pump there. Essentially the same sort of sewer system that we have here. When we had it installed on Cottage Street, the total cost, engineering, everything, not counting the betterment assessment, was almost $20,000. In Wayne County, West Virginia, exact same mass rating pump, much longer run of pipe up to the main. Do you care to guess how much it costs to have it installed? $20,000 here, $900 there. It's plumbing. It's not rocket science. There has to be a way to reduce the cost. People are having to sell their properties because they cannot afford to connect to the sewer. That is a sin.
I think my comment, which I really don't, because I know it's probably the number one thing that we hear is the cost to connect. You know, we try our best. I mean, we bring it to the property line, and basically that's where our control is. After that, it's really becomes a private matter of working with the vendor. One of the things that I could say is just get as many quotes and bids as you can, because the prices can vary quite a bit from contractor to contractor, depending on how busy they are, whether they want the job, whether they don't want the job. We see it here even in our sewer construction. I mean, we had a bid swing of almost $8 million just on Phase 3 alone. So that's an $18 million project with an $18 million bid swing. So we are working to reduce kind of the requirements that we are in control of, which is the requirement of an engineered plan to provide the connection. That's really for record data, record keeping. But we're trying to look at ways so we can minimize just the smaller costs, which are inspection fees. When I first got here, inspection fees was every time the inspector went out, it was $100. We reduced that to, one-time inspection fee, which is the final inspection. As built from the sewer, from the engineer, the properties engineers, we're looking to possibly reduce that they don't have to complete an as-built plan, but actually just give a letter of certification. We got the design drawings, and we just need a letter that basically says they conform the construction was done in conformity with the design plans, and I think that should be sufficient. So we're looking at ways of what we can control, but we can't control is what a contractor charges you to do that plumbing work and construction.
If I can add, only because our property is also in the Phase 2 and we're going through getting the plan together, what we're trying to do is join with 2 other properties. So we have one engineer that's engineering plans for 3 properties to try to save money, and actually we've eliminated one connection point to allow 2 properties to join together in one stub. So people are getting creative. I'd also say, as Rich noted, since Phase 1, we've seen an increase in number of qualified contractors. So the market is starting to respond to the demand. So more contractors means sharper pencils, hopefully. Thank you.
And just as an observation, not just about this, but the people from around different parts of the country who are on Cape Cod trying to do projects, whether they're building a house or an addition or whatever, the mystery of why it costs as much as it does on Cape Cod is unsolved at this point, because it applies to a lot of things, not just sewer hookups.
It's really not unsolved. As somebody that's involved in construction, I can tell you that the cost of labor here is way higher, and I've been to West Virginia. It's way higher than most places in the country. The cost of goods and services here, everything here comes from over the bridge. And, this year I got whacked with a $35 delivery fee every time I have lumber delivered to a job.
No matter the size.
Because no matter what the size is, no matter what it is, if I can't fit it on my F-250, then I'm gonna pay an extra $35 to have something dropped off at the job site. That's the cost of doing business on Cape Cod. And the goods and the services and labor, try and find somebody for labor. They're all coming over the bridge, they're all commuting. Their costs have gone up dramatically because of the cost of fuel. And, it's great, and as Rich said, we got that $8 million swing on the cost of the contract for this present phase of the sewer. But in terms of just general construction costs, this is one of the most expensive places in the United States to do business. It's not gonna change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Afternoon, Cal.
Good afternoon. How are you guys?
Transfer station. Oh, we have a transfer station.
I'm Calvin Sutton, Deputy Director of Public Works and Utilities, here to talk about the transfer station. What we do is the transfer station promotes responsible waste disposal, recycling, and reuse to reduce the community's environmental footprint while supporting sustainable practice. This is through programs such as composting and collection of hard-to-recycle materials. It also serves as a central resource for the safe management of electronics, batteries, tires, yard waste, and household hazardous waste, ensuring these materials are recycled or disposed of in compliance with state and federal regulations. We serve anyone in the town of Orleans with a transfer station sticker. These are open to residents and seasonal renters. What's new or changed this year? This year, one of the more exciting things that we added was food waste composting. The service diverts food scraps and certified compostable materials out of the solid waste stream to promote a more sustainable Orleans. A grant from DEP was recently used to work towards expanding this program. We got a shed that we're hoping to provide liners and compost bins, which we're hoping to do set up soon. We also just got a third bin because the program is expanding. So, people are using it, and we have had a lot of successful pickups. A lot of towns are dealing with contamination, which the Orleans residents seem to be doing a really good job of keeping their compost clean. So, we appreciate that. We've also brought the hauling of glass, recyclables, and brush in-house, really to promote fiscal responsibility and streamline operations. Vendors are getting harder and harder to rely on and find and more expensive. And we have a great staff who's willing to take it back in-house, and it allows us to shop rates and be more self-sufficient. What's coming? We continue to pursue grant opportunities and refine operations to enhance service while ensuring compliance with local, state, and federal laws. We are committed to making fiscally responsible decisions and looking at other ways to innovate and improve operations. If anyone has any questions, I'm certainly willing to answer them.
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Calvin, thanks so much. You know, the composting was so requested for many years, and you've got it done, and it's expanding. As folks know, in lieu of composting, people just threw everything in the garbage, and that adds weight. That weight turns into tipping fees that is just going through the roof. Any idea how much weight we might be putting into?
So our last pickup was around 400 pounds. So right now we're starting to kind of see our fees for composting kind of level out with what your unit price for municipal solid waste would be. So as people, when these containers are full, the rates are about even. So participation is welcomed and encouraged.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just to add to that, thank you, Kevin, for mentioning that's what I was going to add. But it's anywhere, right, if I'm not, 30 to 40% of the weight of our garbage is compostable. If we were working, completely composting.
I don't have a number on that, but DEP is looking at that because they're looking at future, this being another added to the future waste ban. So getting ahead of it right now is going to be important. Hopefully we're ahead of the curve when or if compostable materials are eventually eliminated. So it is a big part of our municipal solid waste, and diverting it and responsibly handling it is definitely a priority.
Yeah, I just wanted to call out, it's not just the environment. If we could lower our costs and our tipping fees by 35% for the transfer station, we may be able to make up a significant difference in the subsidy. So it's something that people can look at both from an economic benefit to the community as well as an environmental one. So if you're willing to take the extra time to do it, it's appreciated by the community. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Mary.
I just want to thank DPW for all the work we've done on the gift house and really, streamlining that section and changing the parking and doing all that stuff. I think it's been, the appreciation people have for the gift house. So thank you for all the work to make that possible. It's been great.
Certainly a popular offering we have, and our volunteers are, very passionate, and they do a great job of handling all the work down there. So,
And I would also add, thank you for the piles of wood chips and topsoil that are available for anybody to come and take home. We're still at my house not using the topsoil where we care about weeds, but maybe we just need to believe that more than we do, but
Yeah.
also, in my house, we compost at home. So I'm not really, and I think probably a fair number of people do. How are people bringing their compost to the transfer station?
A lot of people have it separated in the compostable bags. We did also, when the program started, hand out, I think around 100 compostable like buckets that people can put on their, countertop and bring it in that way. We're looking at, providing some more of those to other people, but mostly it's in the compostable bags.
Sorry. Quick question. Is there the possibility of residents getting compost back, so I can also compost at home? And, I'd love to be able to get some.
Yeah.
Sure. So right now we do a compost operation with yard waste, which is open to residents, but as far as the food waste, it's not integrated into that operation. It is available for purchase back from the vendor. Long-term, we're hoping we might have more of a regional composting facility that might provide some compost back to us to provide to residents.
But the food composting, as I understand it, still has concerns about contamination and things like that.
Food composting needs a lot more attention than like what we do with the yard waste, just turning and aerating. Food waste needs more constant attention, which really we don't have the capacity right now, as well as, the odors and pests that it might attract. But, there's things that we're looking for solutions for.
Yeah, if I can add, Matt, to the point, Chris, you mentioned in terms of getting some of this back, and Calvin mentioned the work that Barnstable County, because we're all actually supported, regionally through regional government that doesn't exist in other parts of the state. But they actually are working on a pilot project with multiple Upper Cape towns that would use a portion of the base to actually invest significant dollars into an operation that would then be able to replicate and take our waste as this thing grows. So it could all come back to us.
Yes.
Thank you, Cal.
Thank you, guys.
Have we reached the end of this?
Is there more?
So, before we close this, I mean, if anybody has sort of thought of something they want to ask or comment on, please feel free.
Specific to the summer informational
Right,
meeting.
right. Please.
Sure.
First of all, thank you. I think I'm just gonna, I'm a pretty direct person, and I don't know any of you really, but this wasn't what I expected. I have served on public government myself for about 4 years in our village in New York. I guess what I had hoped to hear more about was what we got at the end, which is what's happening in some of these departments. I feel that this was more of an update to you all about how you all, what all these places do. I think a lot of us know what goes on in a library. I think a lot of us know what basic things go on in even DPW. But I think what our summer residents really would like to hear more about is issues that are, either new, such as the composting, which, is, or the wastewater. Those two things at the end were like, yes, that's what we want to hear about. Things that will directly affect us as homeowners, as taxpayers. And so I do think that, maybe it'll be handled at the forum meeting, but I think it should be handled here. What is happening with our water restrictions? How did we reach the decision to take the measures that we did? Why did we do that? Are we working with other towns to make sure that we're all drawing from the same aquifer and that we're playing on the same ball field? I think that there's a lot of chatter going around town about that one. And of course, the elephant in the room is the RTE residential tax exemption, which directly impacts people who are not able to speak at town meeting. So those are my comments. I don't think tonight, after the time that's been spent already, if you want to take them on, please do, but those in the future, I would like to see more of that. And that's my comment.
Thank you. Kevin, go ahead.
Chris, I'm happy to respond to the drought restrictions, only because I serve as the liaison, and 1 o'clock today, the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners meet. The last 3 or 4 months, drought has been on their agenda. They work closely with the State Drought Task Force, so the state meets periodically, and kind of every other week it's been lately because of the drought conditions, and they have selected monitoring wells that are the indicators as to what level of drought we may be in. Orleans has its own specific well that is tied to our water withdrawal permits. Sue Brown, our newly announced superintendent, congratulations, Sue Brown, as Todd retired just a few weeks ago, she announced our monitoring well is at the lowest level ever recorded. So the efforts of everyone to reduce water, that doesn't mean you can't hand water your vegetables and things like that, but thank you to everyone who's complying, because the drought condition is serious. And other towns are implementing. Some messaging is still a work in progress, but it actually is working. We are actually seeing some reductions at peak time from the peak withdrawal, so it's helping.
Good. And I do support that. You know, I think that one of the confusions in the community is that, say, I believe in Chatham, there are 2 days a week where you can use your irrigation. And in Orleans, that is obviously not the case. And I would just say that there are lots of ramifications to that. One that I think about all the time as we're out there doing our hand watering is, are we begging people to not follow the restrictions because it's not really a sustainable, realistic goal? Or, you know, what are we doing to our business people who now, you know, basically we've told our guy, don't come cut our lawn, you know, don't come cut it every week. We're gonna have you come it every other week. And he said, yep. He said, okay, I get it, but I'm getting that from a lot of people. And so they're
Ripples.
they're ripple effects. There just are for every decision made. And I think the more information you get out to the community, I mean, so maybe our well is lower than other towns, and that's why we made this decision. But if people don't know that, then, you know, we have these discussions going on.
Anybody have anything they want to say? To close this off, I just want to sort of express my appreciation for the people that we have working in this town. It's just, the jobs that they do for us are incredible. And we're very lucky to have you all, and thank you so much.
Agreed.
And you can thank them by letting them go now. That's it.
Head home.
And everybody else is free to stay to the bitter end. Exactly. But the, the next on our agenda is the consent agenda. And Judy is here, and she's got something to say about one of the items on the consent agenda. So I'm going to suggest that we pull 6G out of the consent agenda so that she can do that. Is that all right with everybody?
Yeah.
And maybe since you're here, Judy, why don't we just go right to 6G?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I come every year and we talk about this, and I think this is what I say every year, but the participation in the program just isn't robust. And last year, we did put information in one of the water bills. The COA paid for that, just to try and see if it was a messaging thing. I've had people apply, go through it, withdraw. I've had a lot of people who don't meet the income requirements. And then we only had 2 participants last year. And the feedback from both of those participants is, was that at the end of it, they got hit with a 1099 because the tax benefit exceeded $599. And so because of the 1099, they received a self-employment tax, federal, the state, it's exempt, but federally, they were taxed at a higher percent because it was considered a private contractor thing. And so both of those people said that they weren't really interested in it. So one of the things that's highlighted this year is that the town has decided to follow a different trigger for the 1099, which is now allowable, so that the 1099 would not be triggered until the benefit exceeded or met or exceeded $2,000, which means that nobody who participates in the program now will get a 1099. So that was a barrier. So I think we're kind of picking off these barriers one by one. Obviously, obviously this is a community with different means. And so while I don't want to be pejorative, but communities like Brockton may have a much higher level of participation than we would anticipate anyways. But working on these barriers, I think, is important to try and offer relief to some of the house-rich, cash-poor older adults that exist. I mean, we implemented last year the angel provision. We haven't had anyone take advantage of that, and we did have people who were willing to volunteer for that. But this honestly is like the last thing I can think of, and then I would intend to work with Amanda on messaging and see if we can't get the message out, more broadly using electronic media and the town's newsletter, provided that this moves forward. We continue to use 100% of the median income for our county. So that's the other text that's highlighted on the draft that you were given. So really just those 2 changes. I think the income is, I can remember to that town meeting that we had when we were at the middle school, I think it was, under a tent. And I think there was fear that there would be too much participation, but that clearly hasn't happened. And so I think the income guidelines are liberal, and I think removing the trigger of the 1099 at $600 is kind of the last remaining barrier to try and see if we can wash out greater participation in the program.
Anybody have any questions? I just have one, Judy. Is the choice of things that people might do under this program pretty wide open? Can you?
It is. So when somebody expresses an interest in the program, I have been the one that's done the interview, and I try and find out what someone's interests are, what their work history is, what are their passions. The town covers a great big range of opportunities to do things, and it could be something simple or it could be something more complex, but the participation has been minimal. The library and the senior center tend to be where people want to be, but again, there were only 2 participants last year, so it's not like we're running to the bank with the help. We had talked about, like, I know I had talked to Alex last year about water testing. There's lots of opportunities, doing something at the beaches, but we just haven't had that kind of interest to date.
One of the reasons I'm asking that question is that there's a few people in town that you can see taking it on themselves to go around and clean up. They'll
Yes.
pick a street or they'll pick an area, and that seems to me something that might be appealing to people to get, outside and do something that you have an immediate sort of reward for.
And I think that kind of messaging I'm going to ask Amanda for some help with. We had somebody last year who just likes to do that kind of thing, likes to pick up, and just thought that they could pick up and then come in and get a tax credit for it, but it doesn't work like that. I mean, there's paperwork. You have to be eligible, we have to track hours, somebody has to sign off on the hours, and those things are required. Those aren't my rules, they're required of the program.
Makes sense.
So, in terms of this 6G, should we be, just as long as we're here now, voting it independently, and then we'll get into the consent?
Yes.
Okay. Then I would be looking for a motion about,
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the items of the consent agenda as presented by also taking out 6G as a separate agenda item.
okay. Is there anybody seconding that?
Second?
So we have a motion with a second to approve the consent agenda excluding 6G. Everybody clear? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then now I would need a motion for 6G.
Mr. Chair, I vote to approve the item 6G, to accept the amendments as presented in the Select Board package to the 2026 Senior Tax Work-Off Program Guidelines.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Judy. Item number 7, the Affordable Housing Trust Declaration of Surplus. Elizabeth.
Good evening, Elizabeth Jenkins, Assistant Director of Planning and Community Development. As you're aware, the Orleans Affordable Housing Trust acquired a property at 22 Old Tote Road for the purpose of providing affordable and attainable housing in our village center, and we have awarded transfer of that property to Housing Assistance Corporation. As part of that process, when this was reviewed by our legal team at Murphy Hussey, they advised that we, in order to be in compliance with the Uniform Procurement Act, we needed a vote of the trust and then an affirmative vote of the select board to declare this property surplus and to post it in the Central Register. So we have a draft of the Central Register posting available in your packet. And again, seeking that the select board affirm the Affordable Housing Trust vote for declaration of surplus. Thank you.
Questions? Anybody?
Oh, good.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to move to approve the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board's declaration that the property at 22 Old Tote Road is available for disposition in accordance with the language provided and authorize staff to submit to the Central Register for publication.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion?
One quick one, Mr. Chair.
Sure, go.
Just curiosity on timing. How are things looking schedule-wise?
We are, I think, in an excellent position. We are waiting from a purchase and sale agreement from our attorney, but they're anxious, HAC is anxious. We've done a walkthrough of the property to get tenants in there. We have all the deed restrictions, regulatory agreements set, which was a little bit of a challenge, one of the first 120% deed restrictions to be done. So we're breaking some ground there, which is exciting. But again, standing by.
So, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm not voting, Meth, on that.
So 401. So next, we get to the special town meeting.
Mr. Chair, I would move to call a special town meeting for Monday, November 16th, 2026.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes unanimously. And we'll go on to,
Mr. Chair, I would move to open the special town meeting warrant on Monday, August 3rd, 2026, and close the special town meeting warrant on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2026 at 4:30 PM.
I think you might have misspoke on a couple of,
Oh, I think I wrote it wrong.
so you're reading? Okay, my agenda and this are different, I guess.
Motion I wrote incorrectly, sorry.
before we keep going, Mark has just brought to my attention that the date for One Cape this year is November 16th.
Yes, it is.
But is that just one day, or is it two?
Is that
That's
the
2
first
days?
day or the second?
Only one day.
It just says one day.
So maybe we want to look in that week quickly. I don't need to miss it.
Well, it's got to be a Monday, right?
No,
Have
It's at 6
I
p.m.
think the charter, not on a special, no, that's right. The charter doesn't have a,
Notice
so
that.
if One Cape is on,
Special day.
we can do the meeting like Wednesday, the 18th. I mean, we can just, we've had it on Tuesday before, I mean,
It's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is
The next week.
following.
As long as it's the next week, we're
it's the
okay.
following Thursday.
So you're suggesting Wednesday, the 18th?
Yeah, I mean, I get that it's a nighttime meeting, but if you want any of us to attend One Cape, typically.
No, I think
they'll be
I think
in-
most of us will be,
there.
wanting to
Right,
attend
and
too,
so,
I'm just, the only thing in my mind is, when was the last time we did any town meeting that wasn't on a Monday?
we did it Tuesday, just,
Did a Saturday too.
yeah.
that didn't go over well.
Oh, Saturday.
I'm not suggesting, but
Well, I don't think you want to do it the week of Thanksgiving, though
Yeah,
we
no.
have done it before. You could do it the 23rd,
no.
and I don't think we want to move it up a whole week to the 9th. That's pretty quick, because Veterans Day is also in that week. So,
Tuesday's fine with me.
I think she's talking about Wednesday, though.
Wednesday? Sure, we don't,
Wednesday, the
we don't
18th.
have to have a select board meeting.
There we go. All right.
yeah, any of those days is fine.
Win-win.
So, Mr. Chair, I will retract, Michael, I think you did the second, or who did the
I did
second
the
on
second,
the
I
16th?
believe.
So I'll retract the motion
I think
on,
Michael made the motion.
No. I made the motion for the,
The next
Opening
one.
Oh, okay.
The warrant.
yeah, so I'll
I made the
retract the special town meeting motion and now move that we call a special town meeting for Wednesday, November 18th, 2026.
And I will second that. I agree to withdraw my second and raise you one.
Okay, motion's made and seconded back on item 8 for the town meeting, special town meeting date. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now,
and then Molly, what did I read wrong on this?
I put August 3rd for the opening and closing,
Quick.
which
What do
would
you need?
be unfortunate, so.
closing is September
You
23rd.
have all day till 4:30.
Yeah, really, I mean,
The agenda says September 23rd.
September 23rd?
Yeah, that's correct.
It's-
I wrote the
Michael,
it's right on the agenda,
printed.
just not on the motions.
Not the motion.
I'll
Okay,
my
start
motion
again, yep.
to open the special town meeting warrant Monday, August 3rd, 2026, and close the special town meeting warrant on September 23rd at 4:30 PM.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Mark, that gives you 2 extra days.
No,
No.
no, nothing's changed with the warrant time.
So, Meph, one quick one I forgot. So, Mark, again, with town meeting warrants, you're going to open the link or whatever you do, and
Yep.
in come the requests?
Right.
And we want to keep them under, like, 7 or less? I'm just kidding.
I think it's possible. Under 10, under 10.
500 characters.
Exactly.
500 characters.
Those
You
are
have to
less.
put it out there.
Okay, moving on. The agenda is asking for us to accept the changes made to Select Board policies, sections C through K. These have all been through the workshop meetings and have had various changes made. I guess if anybody has any questions about those particular policies, then now's the time. But if not, then I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve amendments to section C and D of the Select Board. Wait,
C through K.
C through K.
I think there's,
Something,
All right,
there's a
there's
bug in your emotions here.
We have to pull policy D6, fair housing. We're waiting from town council to hear from them to give us direction on some language that needs to be added, and that we're on to today.
So are we doing C through K minus D6?
We're not doing C through K, it's C through D minus
D6. Oh,
because
okay.
we're not done with the
Okay.
financial policies.
Okay.
Okay, right, the financials didn't get.
J, K.
So just C through K, C through D.
So, can read.
D
Yes, okay.
minus,
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the amendments of section C and D, not including D6,
Second.
Select Board policies.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Yay. Thank you, Laura.
And lastly, or not lastly, but next is the, this meeting's version or thing for year-end budget transfers.
Mr. Chair, is this one? Okay.
Do we want to have any?
Well, should I read the motion and then you can have
Okay, sure.
discussion?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the FY '26 year-end budget transfers as presented in the Select Board packet.
Second.
Second. So now,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Good evening.
I'm just scrolling to get to it in this packet.
Okay.
It's a lot of
I've got, I have the hard copy, so I'm easy. Is everybody else getting there?
Page 173, Ken.
Before.
Wow. Didn't get a packet.
You can look at mine,
Okay, thanks.
once I get there. Take it a minute.
I'm not holding my breath.
I think the main thing is there any transfers here you think are notable that need some explaining?
The only one that I think FinCom had a question on was about fire salaries. I'm transferring $82,000 from their expenses to cover salaries, and that's largely due to when they ratified their contract. It was after the FY26 budget was built, so we're just correcting that now.
Mr. Chair, I think the only other one, and I think you saw my little email, is not a concern at all, but I think as we know, the police chief did support, the body-worn camera. This is establishing the first year of funding for that, and he has offered in a future meeting just to come in and give an update for the public in terms of what this means, what the opportunity is, and it's moving us into a new world.
Exactly. He's gonna put together a similar presentation like they did for the drones, August, September timeline. So the public can get some more information.
And I'm just looking, I have 3 sheets here that
Yes. Yep.
we signed. I'm looking for that particular item on the transfer, which I
For the
understand is
police,
in here someplace.
police,
Well,
Body cams?
For which one, Meth?
the body cameras.
It's on
That
the
is
next
a standalone,
standalone.
of 80.
Scroll down.
Oh,
80,000.
okay. So in this item 11, are we doing all of the transfers with that?
Yes,
Then somebody care to make a motion?
We did.
I did.
You got
And
it.
it's second.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
And we're in discussion. Right.
So any further discussion? Let's vote. All in favor?
You know what? Can I just add, in case anyone is watching at home? Year-end transfers are a tool that we have basically to cover some unexpected costs at the end of the year. We're very lucky, which is kind of it's a blessing and a curse. We have staffing issues still in public safety, and so if we weren't able to fund these body-worn cameras through a year-end transfer by utilizing surplus money that wasn't spent in that department, you would see this item as an article at a fall town meeting coming from free cash, which is essentially where this money would go to if it was not utilized here.
Got it.
Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you all.
Thanks, Cedric.
Thanks for staying around.
Cedric, do you want to take these now?
And if you give me a second, I'll sign this, but do we have any liaison updates?
None from me.
I have one quick one, Matt.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I'm looking at my notes, if I can open today's Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. Sorry. So again, on the drought, they did hear from a resident who noted a developer home on Daly Terrace with sprinklers running both morning and night with runoff. And again, Sue Brown, our new superintendent of water and sewer, did announce that letters were issued and a fine has gone out. And as we know in the policy, they escalate. So Sue will no doubt take this and increase the fine. They did note, and Mike Solitro was at the meeting, about the concern within the Governor Prince developer application before the Zoning Board of Appeals, that there's no specifics in terms of the waiver or fee relief. And Mike did mention, since the fees have not been clearly requested in front of ZBA, that any future relief would then have to come to Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. So that was kind of a good clarification. So again, if you picture a ZBA sitting there, one line says, we'd like relief, they can't really grant an open-ended thing. As Mike said, they've got to have some specifics. They did allow increased flow for 24 Canal Road. That's actually, this is the Cape View property. It actually does motel. It provides housing, and they're adding 20 new bedrooms for increased apartment use.
Who is they, by the way?
The owners, I don't know the names, but, yeah,
I did
and,
report them the other day for watering.
yeah. They also got an update from Rich, as we heard during the information session, about Phase 3. The other interesting thing is, believe it or not, Veolia, who is our operator of the wastewater system, their contract will actually be coming up for notice if we want to extend them for another 5 years. The contract provides for up to 3 additional 5-year contract extensions. So the board did vote to give Kim the indication that they support an extension. One provision that was raised was, given the fact that investment dollars can be saved significantly by the contractor adhering to permit conditions or coming in under, maybe exploring other incentive penalty provisions for the performance. So that came up, and Water Department gave a report about the dehumidifier, new unit that was recently installed at the water treatment plant that's failed twice. It's under warranty, but Sue is kind of holding her breath as to what the end result is going to be. Lead testing is continuing, although we have no lead service in any lines. And the last thing is, Mass DEP has requested some resampling because well number 7, this is our one remote well off of Quonset, did detect a very, very small, I emphasize small, level of PFAS. It's believed to be coming from existing septic systems, because there are no PFAS counts traced at all in the well field itself. And again, because that is now tied into the plant, there's no concerns about PFAS, but it does put us on an annual sampling and testing process for PFAS that we hadn't been on before.
Can I ask a question, Kevin? Did they identify the particular type of PFAS?
Sue would have that, I'm sure. I mean, she went through the cost of just this testing alone, the sampling, the gathering, she has to remote it, I think, to Ohio somewhere. I mean, this is not cheap. But if you want the results, I'm sure she can give you the full analytics.
I'm just asking because there's worse PFAS than other PFAS.
Can I ask a question? Kevin. People are still using sprinkler systems. Is there an official way in which to contact the water department about that?
Call the number.
Because I noticed, you had emailed Stu about one particular person, and in your email, you indicated that you would send a photograph of it. Is that required?
No, it's not required,
Okay.
no.
Because I see 2 or 3 walking the dog on Brick Hill Road that are still running that. Okay, so just make a call with the address.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
And it's getting to the point this summer where you don't even have to see the irrigation on. You know who's been irrigating your lawn. There's green ones, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, I'm like actively seeing the water coming out of the sprinkler heads.
So wasteful.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Mary, you said anybody else? I don't have anything. You have anything, Mike?
Just a couple quick ones. The CPC met, just taking care of some small business at the end. Snow Library, I think we got a great update from Bobby, so he pretty much covered what Jenny Fulcher, thank you for her presentation and what she does for the library. And Veterans Committee met, and they had rediscussed the Vietnam and the Korean memorials and reconfirmed the materials being used, the granites. So they're moving that along. And that's all I got for meetings.
And you're all set, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, so just future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to put on our future?
We have a future.
Oh, yes, well, then the future is now.
Exactly.
One thing, just to follow up, we asked at the end of the last meeting, and I don't remember if we included on a future agenda item, but the follow-up on the alum in the ponds in there, its effectiveness or lack thereof, and where we're going with that.
At the very beginning, we did have
Carolyn.
Doty talk about it just during public speak, but I think a more comprehensive explanation would be something we should get.
Okay.
Anything else from anybody before I hear that next motion?
So we have to go into executive session?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and to return open session only for purposes of adjournment.
Second.
And I do declare that the open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. And so with that, we're set to go into, no, we have to vote by roll call.
Hi, Kevin Galligan.
I'm Mary Wright.
I'm F. Runyon.
I'm Michael Herman.
Hi, Mark Matheson.
So we're heading into, okay, we have moved out of executive session, back into regular session with nothing to report. And we have one final motion for the evening.
Mr. Chair, I would move to adjourn at 6:36 PM.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.